Some Lion fans here in town, huh?
Yeah, he was down. He works in Monroe, but
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, that was tough.
All right, we're going to go head football coach Sonny Cumby. Coach, you just want to give us an opening statement, wrap up the Mexico State game, and we'll take a few questions with the upcoming game versus Southern Miss.
Yeah, really glad to be 2-1. Get to one of their own Conference USA play. We had time to watch the film Saturday night late. Spend all day Sunday really evaluating the performance against New Mexico State, and it was proud of how our kids played. They played really hard, played physical. I think when you look at the game offensively, we started the game really fast. I think we started the game with confidence. Blake came out, very decisive in his decision-making, throwing the football, helped himself out with his feet, and made some plays. And I think guys made plays that helped him. Devin Gandy, David Piero. Marlon Jackson had a big play on Trey's throw. And so we had guys at the receiver position that made plays. Our offensive line dominated the line of scrimmage. We did a great job. Anytime you rush for 350 yards, your offensive line has a huge role in that, obviously. Our running backs did a great job in terms of trusting their reads. And then you had quarterback runs. And then you have tight ends and receivers that are doing a great job to allow those 4 to 5 yard plays to turn into explosive plays. And so was really pleased with how we played there. The thing that we had a lull in the third quarter, and that was, I liken it to in the third quarter, it was really one of those, like, offensively, you got the feeling it was kind of like, when you have, like, if me, Kyle, and Teddy were sitting around and we were just trying to decide where we wanted to go eat. I may say, I like this place. Teddy may say, hey, I like Rotolo's, and Kyle may, hey, I want Log Cabin. And we just look at each other like, hey, guys, what do y'all want to do? And we don't do anything. And you just sit around and nobody took charge. And I think that was what the third quarter was like. We didn't have anybody make plays. And I think part of it was at quarterback. We missed a couple of reads that could have been really big explosive plays for us in the third quarter. And I think that Blake will get better at and we'll be able to see moving forward. And we've got to play 4 quarters on offense. I loved how we finished the game offensively in the fourth quarter. I don't know exactly, 4 to 5 minutes left to go in the game. We run the football, and similarly how we finished at the Southeastern. When you have to run the ball to retain possession, keep your defense off the field, and our offensive line and running backs and Mason Welch there at the end, we were able to do that. So we're really excited about that performance, and we needed that on offense, and we need to continue to build off of that, in terms of our production. And I think defensively, when you look at the second quarter, we gave up a couple of big plays. We were a little bit on our heels, and I think Coach Olson and his staff did a great job, really just from a mind shift. There were a few things we did adjustment-wise. We were able to be a little bit more aggressive in the second half, but I think anytime you hold 24 plays, I think 58 yards in the second half, I think is a great performance. They ran the ball for 27 yards and really didn't try to run the football in the second half. And the score dictated a little bit, but I think part of it was the lack of success they had. And so a tribute to our defensive players and coaches for that performance. 3 takeaways, 1 touchdown, and the thing that was fun to show our kids is really there was 3 plays. Coach, we talk about owning our impact in our program on a daily basis, whether it's here in the building or across campus or in the community. And I think there was 3 players that when they had an opportunity, and they really give our team a lot of life. But Travell Vivian's a guy who gets very minimal reps, gets a pass breakup, in this third quarter, goes in and makes the most of his reps. He's a phenomenal teammate. He works extremely hard on scout team. And then Jacob Bradford, he's able to be there in position. Another guy that throughout the course of the week doesn't take a ton of reps with our defense. He's on scouts a lot, and both of those guys show up with a smile on their face. They are very competitive, and they work extremely hard. They're great teammates, and I think the game rewards those types of guys, and certainly did there. And then I think Mason Welch at the end of the game being able to get his opportunity to finish the game running the football at quarterback. I think it really gives your team energy when you have players that do things right and they're able to contribute, in a major way in a ball game. And so from a defensive standpoint, we've got to continue to create takeaways. If we'll take the 2 touchdowns in 3 games is great. I think in special teams, and I guess really kickoff wise, this is kind of the areas that we have to eliminate for us to be the type of team we can be, and it's just the penalties. You really saw really bad football. Once we scored the touchdown, we get the penalty, backs us up to the 20-yard line, and we kick the ball out of bounds, and that's not winning football. And those are things that we have to eliminate. The rest of the night, John's done a phenomenal job kicking the ball out on kickoffs, kickoff return. We've got to just do what we're coached to do. When the ball's kicked on the numbers, we have to fair catch it. We didn't do that. Cost us field position on the first return. And then same thing on punt return. We have to eliminate penalties. And really the whole thing on special teams is we've got to do what we're coached to do. The guy, Coach Sharp, is the best in the country doing it. It's trial and true in terms of the results of it. And so we've got to be better there, and some of it will do with moving some guys around and finding guys that will do what their coaches do on special teams to give us a chance, because I think on our punt return game we can really impact games. I think we can impact games on our kickoff return given the opportunities. And so those are the things that we have to work forward to moving forward. And then we've got a future Sun Belt opponent, a huge rival for us in Southern Miss. They're 2-1. They're a really good football team. Coach Huff brought a lot of the players and coaches with him from Marshall, from the Sun Belt Championship team, and they're really good, and they're a physical, athletic football team. I think for them, the offensive line is very, very athletic in the interior. They're very physical. Their quarterback, Braylon Braxton, is a phenomenal player, phenomenal competitor. Really makes their team go, and he's difficult to get down in the pocket because he's so powerful. Throws the deep ball as well as anybody we've played against. At receiver, they've got speed, they've got size, so it'll be a huge challenge for us in the secondary. And then I think defensively, Jamon Tapp is an elite pass rusher, number 14 for them. Ian Foster came with them from Marshall, is a really good player at nickel, number 3. And Josh Moten is probably one of the best corners we've gone against, and came with them from Marshall as well. So very athletic football team, very well coached, and a physical football team. So it'll be a good challenge for us as we seek consistency.
For this program, this has kind of been a consistent thing over the last couple of years. I remember when you guys, Tennessee last year, and you go to New Mexico State and said it felt like they didn't handle success well. What's the message for you guys coming into a stage like this where you guys got a chance to go 3-1, your future Sun Belt opponent? It seems like the momentum is on your side. How do you keep that going?
Yeah, I think part of it is it all starts with coaches, and it all starts with me and the ability to get that message across Monday through Friday, and I think it also it falls a little bit on the maturity level of our players and them receiving that message and having the ability to look at it and understand that every Tuesday is a new Tuesday, and we've got to do a great job of preparing today, and I thought last night's practice, I was really pleased with how our guys moved around, but I think it starts with us as coaches, and the players following our lead from the standpoint of this is it's your preparation, like it has to stay the same, because that really gives you the best chance each week to be successful, but the ball doesn't ever bounce the same, and so there's going to be different things that happen in a game as much as you try to prepare for, and so you always remember you have a great performance and you're like, man, I'm going to do exactly what I did last week, and you do it, and then maybe the performance isn't like what it was the previous week, but as long as from a preparation standpoint, and then I think not only physically, but I think where our guys, we're making strides is from a mental standpoint. I think when we get to Thursday and Friday, how do we prepare mentally whenever it's not as much physical? And I hope that's where we'll see the maturity with our football team, and it's a message that I've got to continue banging the drum on, and our coaches as well, and consistency in our program is one of our cornerstones, and we talk about it in terms of am I reliable? And it really is, that's the definition of it, and I'm reliable whether the results are good or bad. I continue to show up and I continue to do the work, and so we'll see if we can do that this week.
Two quarterback system, it seemed to really give you guys an offensive rhythm, give you guys some different looks, kept New Mexico State off balance. Do you foresee that's how it's going to be going forward, where Blake will start, Trey will come in?
I do, yeah. I think that would be the way we would go moving forward. I think the way that Blake played, I think he solidified that. I think that Coach Franklin did a really nice job of staying in rhythm and having a plan for both. And I thought both of those guys, Trey and Blake, did a great job of staying in rhythm themselves, because it's a hard thing to do. And I think that it really helped us in the first half as well. I think that was part of, I can't speak for the defensive coordinator, for New Mexico State, but, I would think that would make you very uncomfortable and keep you on your heels in terms of what to call, just from the standpoint of you don't really know, with each guy, what am I going to get? Am I going to get quarterback run? Am I going to get a play action shot? Am I going to get four verts? What is it that you're getting with each quarterback? And I thought those guys and Coach Franklin, they did a really nice job of staying in rhythm with it.
With Blake becoming the second quarterback in Tech history to rush for over 100 yards in a single game, how much does that open up your offense when the defense has to always be concerned with the QB speed runs.
Yeah, I think a lot of it, he made a big chunk in there in the end of the first half, on the quarterback scramble. I think it was on the third down, right after, unfortunately, we'd had a false start and we backed ourselves up. But I think he makes a lot of plays with his feet when on called pass plays. But then I think he has power and strength, when we do call the quarterback run game to move the pile. So, that's another way you rush for 350 yards is your quarterback rushes for over 100. And I don't know if that'll be the recipe, every single week with Blake, but he does have that ability in terms of keeping plays alive, and then also with the scramble drill. The thing that I was he worked the pocket well in terms of being able to move himself up through the pocket, and then that's when those creases opened up for big runs in the passing game. He was able to take advantage of it. I should know this, but who's first?
Honestly, I don't know.
Yeah, I should know it. Ryan Higgins?
2016 versus Rice had 106 yards, so he was 3 yards shy of
Okay, all right. I should know that, Teddy.
Your kind of guy.
Yeah.
Obviously last week, again, from one sack, how do you see the progress of this offensive line aggressively continue to take the quarterback sense?
Yeah, I think that's been the area that the offensive line for the first 3 games, I think, has consistently gotten better. I think they've gotten, more physical in the run game. I think we've been able to shore up some things from a protection standpoint, and again, there's some of the things that you're figuring things out from a schematic standpoint as well, in terms of what they do well and what works well against a 3-down front versus a 4-down front, and in terms of what you're doing from a pass protection standpoint, and I've been really proud of the intentionality of the offensive line in terms of taking ownership of the first week where it wasn't very good, taking the coaching and then getting better, and they've gotten better, and again, it's the challenge that Matt asked, early, is that we all have to do that each week is you take the good and you stay sharp in that area, and you have enough humility about you to take ownership in the areas that weren't, and then we got to get those areas better. And so we've got to continue to pass protect, because this is going to be a huge challenge this week. These guys up front are big, they're long, they're athletic, and they do a great job of getting to the quarterback.
Southern Miss has been a conference foe 3 different times before in Louisiana Tech's history. But just how much of a measuring stick game will this be as you guys move to the Sun Belt next year?
Well, I think it'll be a big one. I mean, I think they got, there's a lot of guys from the Sun Belt Championship team that are on that team, a good number of them, and so I think it'll be a huge test for us. They did a phenomenal job against App State last week and really dominating in that win, and so it'll be a good test in terms of where we're at, playing these guys, and then we'll transition back to Conference USA play next week.
From an injury standpoint, you have Trey, Cedric.
Yeah, I think Trey this week will determine a lot in terms of how he feels, with his shoulder. Same thing with Ced. We should know more today. Roy Brackens, I think, will practice probably Wednesday. Those are really I think the top 3 guys that Judd's out for the season, and then those are really I think the top 3 guys from Saturday's game.
Talked about your defense, the take-it mindset they have, but I mean, offensively, too, you guys are so good at protecting the football. You're second right now in the country. You have a +6 turnover margin. I mean, just how important is the complementary football aspect?
Well, that's huge, because we've talked a lot with Coach Franklin and I. We've conversated a lot about, offensively and where you're at as a team, but, what you're capable of, which I think our guys are capable of what they did Saturday and even more. If you put together 4 quarters, if you eliminate the red zone turnover, I think you're capable of a lot on offense with our players. But as long as you take care of the football and you play really good defense, which we've shown to be able to do both so far through 3 games, you're going to have a chance in every ball game. And it'll be really important this week. I mean, App State threw 3 interceptions, 1 pick six, 2 of the interceptions were in the end zone last week. This is a very opportunistic defense that we're going against. And part of the reason that they are being able to create takeaways and interceptions in particular is their pass rush.
What's your assessment of this season?
I think Eli Finley's had a really good season so far. I mean, our expectations for him are really high. I think that, he was targeted once, I think, Saturday. We got the pass interference on the 3rd down. And there's going to be nights like that where, in terms of the game plan or how they were playing him, the coverage, the football didn't find him, but I thought he was really good blocking, and I think he gives us an advantage every week blocking, whether it's in line or on the perimeter, and he's definitely asserted himself as a leader on our offensive side of the ball.
That you play multiple Sun Belt teams over the years, does a game like this against Southern Miss every game in style of football play for future matches?
Yeah, I mean, you're always paying attention, whether it's the American, whether it's the Mountain West, the MAC, all the other Group of 5 conferences, you pay attention to them, you watch them, and you see, all right, when you're watching, how do you stack up? And this week, fortunately, we'll get a chance to see because we'll play one, from the Sun Belt and give us an idea of where we're at from a roster, and which I feel pretty good about our roster and our team, and of course those change so quickly. But the focus, the fun thing about our team this year is, and we've talked about it, the lifespan for this team is about 3.5, 4 more months, and we going into it every year, it's a 1-year lifespan, and you want to make the most of it. And making the most of it is being consistent, being reliable, working really hard, and then you take the opportunity to play a team from the Sun Belt and do the best you can, and then get back in. We got 7 more Conference USA football games that we need to win and prepare for. And but I know that I just sense this football team, they're ready to compete each week, whether it's an SEC team, whether it's a Southland team, Conference USA or Sun Belt. These guys are excited to play football.
I'm not sure if you saw Brian Kelly's press conference after his game against Florida. The first question was about the lack of offensive production and his response. How nice was it for you today to not have to answer questions about the lack of offensive production?
Yeah, it is nice. It is. I found other things to get me irritated, and so there's always other things, whether it's academics, whether it's, class, kids not going to class. And so, there's always going to be something that you find that's going to be irritating, just because there's so many things that you're responsible for. And so, yeah, someone did send me that. But yeah, there's always something that'll, every week on Monday, you're going to have something, usually on Sunday. And so, yeah, I'm glad not to have to answer that question for this week, and hopefully for the weeks moving forward.
All right, Coach. Thanks.
Yeah, thanks, guys. Yep.
Say that in the part again.
The challenge, like what we've kind of seen from them offensively.
You know, throughout the week, our coach, you know, he's really hard on routes. He makes sure he gets them in to us early in the week so we can study on them, you know, every day that we come in here. We come in at 12 o'clock on Sundays, and that's when we start our week. You know, most people started on Mondays, but, you know, we're a Sunday through Friday type of defensive back. So I think the challenge is really just, you know, go out there and compete. It's the usual, you know, take it mentality. So that's what it's going to be this weekend.
You guys and Southern Miss both top 25 in turnovers gained in the country. I mean, just how much pride will this unit take in winning that battle against them this week?
It's gonna be a battle. I feel like, you know, we're gonna come out with it as usual. You know, I feel like our ticket mentality is different than theirs. Like, we actually like take it into hands when we see an opportunity. So, you know, yeah. Can you speak louder?
Yeah, you have seven takeaways so far through 3 weeks. You know, what about the defense staff that's allowed you guys to really frustrate your opponents?
What does it allow our opponents to? You said allow our frustration to our opponents?
What does it allow you guys to really just be able to take it home?
I mean, we just got a lot of playmakers. You know, we got guys that fly to the ball. You know, everybody do their 111. So, you know, you fly to the ball, you get your opportunity, you know, get the ball. And I think teams seeing us do that, they're like, dang, like, we have to play these guys. That's what we want to make it. You know, whenever we finish a game, it's like, dang, like, that team is like, you know, unbelievable. So that's what we come out and do on Saturday. So.
Offensively, it took this team a couple weeks to find their rhythm. How nice was it for you guys to see the offense have success on Saturday and you stay on the field longer too?
It was lovely. I think the offensive-wise, like, you know, you can't just, you know, go out there and, let me run this route and think, you know, you just get the feeling of it, like, you know, from the jump. But, like, seeing them come out there last game and really just, you know, ball out, we knew what we had. We just had to get it, you know, put everything together, you know, the puzzle together, and you see what happens. So.
You guys are playing a lot of man.
Yeah.
And so far, it's just like, what does that do for the secondary? Just like create that aggressive mentality that you guys know that you're going to have to win your one-on-ones.
You know, it starts with practice. You know, we do man tech, you know, pretty often, but, you know, out there in the field, it's like you versus you versus, you know, it's you and God, you know. So it just depends on your technique and what leverage you at. You know, we making sure that we do some man to where we could, you know, get more action in that back end. So.
In practice, when you guys have to face Blake and Trey, I mean, how much does that, you know, put a defense on its toes? How is that, you know, for the opposing defense? What does that look give them?
Are you saying, like, how is it for us against?
Yeah, 'cause you guys know better than anyone what it's like to go against two different quarterbacks and prepare for two different quarterbacks.
Yeah.
Going to practice. So for other teams, what is it like, you think, for them?
I feel like it could be difficult for them. You know, it's like we can put in Trey and, you know, Trey can run, but we could put in Trey and Trey can throw. With Blake, it's the same thing, but it's just like, I don't know. It's a good thing to see that you got quarterbacks that can, you know, do both, be versatile in, you know, their game. So I think dealing with that on defense, it can sometimes be hard because, you know, you ain't got a lot of running quarterbacks. You got a lot of quarterbacks that'll run but throw it, you know. But with us, we got some versatile quarterbacks. So.
Southern Miss has been a long time Louisiana Tech rival, but as next year you guys transition into the Sun Belt and they're a Sun Belt team, how much of a measuring stick game will this be to see you guys how you match up against next year's conference team?
Well, I think it's just another game to us, you know. I mean, a conference, yeah, but I feel like, you know, Saturday, you know, it's Tech versus whoever, so, you know, come out with the dub. That's how I feel.
All right, Carter, thanks for talking to us.
All right.
Appreciate it.